So as of right now, I am fifth day post-op from my gastric bypass. I had my gastric bypass on Monday. I had super high hopes to record more than I did, to be honest with you. I thought I had all this footage of me doing this big kind of talking bit in the hospital, and I must not have hit record. I dreamed it. I'm not sure what happened. I was flying high on whatever medication they gave me. But I just wanted to update everyone and just kind of explain how it was, what it was like, how I'm doing now, challenges, just a basic update. So Monday, my surgery time was 10 a.m. I had to be at the hospital at 8 a.m. They took us in pretty fast. I guess we were a little bit early, even though they said to be there at 8. I was really nervous. So Sunday night, I was super nervous. Definitely a ball of nerves. Was I doing the right thing? What was it going to be like? What was it going to feel like? Super nervous for IV. I'm always nervous for an IV and any kind of needles, but I do usually feel better once I have an IV successfully in, because then you don't have to worry about feeling anything too much going into the operation at that point. So the nurse that took me back was super kind, super sweet, very, very caring. And she had a tech that was working with her that she was like is absolute best at IVs. Usually, part of my problem is I have super small veins and just a really hard time finding them, something that works. Anything for surgery, they have to put in kind of like a bigger, I don't know if it's called a catheter, kind of when they're putting in the IV to sustain, especially since I was staying overnight. So this lady came in and she's like, don't worry about it. She had me squeezing a ball and they got an IV through my hand, which is close to impossible. But she got it in first try right away, and that eased my mind immediately. And my nurse was like, see, I told you she was the best. I'll insert a picture here, after my smiley face of in the waiting room ready to go back. And then the anesthesiologist came in, kind of just went over, check your mouth. Do you have any problems with anesthesia? Anything like that? And then the nurse, anesthetist, I think I'm saying that right, came in following to get me and the two nurses that would be in the OR with me. And they're like, all right, it's go time. We're going to give you some medicine right now to help relax you. And no joke, it was like, whoop, felt like melting. Don't even remember getting into the operating room per se, but do remember moving onto the bed, them saying, we're gonna, kind of strap your arms down, put one here, put one here, and then a little bit of oxygen. And then, okay, now I'm gonna give you some medicine and we'll see ya on, when you wake up. And that's all I remember. I did have a harder time waking up in recovery. And then when I got into my room for the night, luckily I had a single room. That was great. Didn't have to go through it sharing anything with anyone. I felt violently ill. I really did not feel good. I thought I was going to feel a lot better. So I was like, I got to walk, watching all those videos. I got to walk, got to walk, got to walk. So I figured first thing I do is got to walk. As soon as I stood up, and I had to go to the bathroom really bad. As soon as I stood up, the nausea that overcame me was unbearable. And I'm usually not that way. And I was a sad puppy. I'll say I was a very sad puppy. My husband was there with me and he did great. But I was suffering. I was in a lot of pain. That I think that hardest part to decipher of how you're feeling after the operation is I do think a lot of it is gas, but the gas weighs so heavy on your chest that it gives you the nausea. And then with the nausea, you kind of just feel like absolute crap on top of it because you're also afraid to throw up because your stomach's sore. You can still feel your stomach sore. They put in some kind of blocks within my stomach too, but I could feel right away the biggest incision that I have, which still isn't big, but they did tell me that it's the area that they do the most work in. I could feel that right away, and it was just, I felt like maybe like 90 billion sit-ups and torn muscles is basically what it felt like. So with that moving and then feeling like you're gonna throw up and just this crushing kind of weird sensation in your chest is the best way I can explain it. It was tough. So it took me a long time to wake up. I I did get stuck kind of in that anesthesia funk for a while, that longer than I thought I would. But I kept getting up and using the restroom with the nurses, helping me. And then I decided, I think it was like 8 o'clock at night, that I wanted to walk. And the nausea was gone. They gave me Zofran or Zofran, whatever they had through my IV at that point, and they gave me pain medicine as well earlier. But it was minute. It was more like just a bag of Tylenol at that point. And so I went for a walk, and the walk did feel really good. It was super, super slow. I walked around a few times, and then I went back to my room and I was like, oh man, that was tough. And then I walked around a few more times, and then I started kind of like waking out of the funk a little bit. And that, I think that kind of helped me, that process. So I kept kind of dozing off and on. I didn't really go on my phone. I didn't turn on the TV in there. I was trying to sleep, close the door. I was able to sleep on my side, rolled on my left side, hoping that that would probably help with some gas. And I had some kind of good sleep, and then I felt horrible again, and I was in bad pain, like pretty bad. I went in thinking I had 2 C-sections. How bad could this be? And C-sections, you get cut open. You're not really doped up after that with any medication that they can give you, and you have to take care of a child essentially immediately, right? But I do think this was a little bit different. Yeah, I think that's the best way I can explain it. It's a different kind of pain. Maybe you don't have endorphins to get you through it at that point. Maybe that's why. But yeah, it was pretty rough. And my nurse walked in, and I'm sitting up like I am right now because it was the only way that was comfortable. Couldn't lay down, couldn't lay back. I was miserable. Tried to brace myself to get up to here, and I was sitting like this, kind of like not Indian style because I can't really sit like that, but with my legs, in a like a curl position and me sitting upright. And the nurse is like, "You okay?" And I was like, "I think I need the pain medication now." And she's like, "Of course." She's like, "You don't have to pretend you don't need pain meds. You've been on basically Tylenol and what they gave you in surgery." And so she gave me those, and I felt so much better. So much better. And I got up, started walking around, moving around. And at that point, I decided to stay on the pain medicine a little bit more often and stay on top of it that whole rest of the night and then into the morning. And it did wonders for me. Don't be foolish. I mean, unless you can't take a pain med, but stay on top of it. Don't let yourself get to that point. You don't have to be a superhero. If I didn't do that, I think I would have been worse shape, and I wouldn't be going home when I did. And so I got up that morning. I was up early. I was doing laps around the floor. I mean, like, I think they kept saying to me, everyone on the floor is like, "Oh my gosh, what number are you on now?" I'm like 16. I kept walking and walking and walking. And then I was taking down the fluids and making sure I was drinking and drinking. And one thing I have to say is I have not had a problem drinking water. Anything like that, no problem. Flavored water, it depends if it's like thicker. Does that make sense? Like even vitamin water, it feels a little bit thick. opposed to just regular ice water is what I was having. And then they had like a unsweetened decaf iced tea that I had there, and I was sipping that, and I was proving them my liquids. And the nurses were like, "Yeah, you'll go home," and the doctors are like, "You'll go home today. Your incisions look good. You're doing great. We have no reason to keep you here." And I think there had to be maybe 5 other patients on the floor that had their operation the same day as I did. And honestly, I did not see them moving around that much. And they weren't leaving as soon as I was. So I got out by the time my prescription was filled, which was really great about the hospital I was at. They had a pharmacy right there. The nurses called down my prescriptions. They delivered it to my room. So I didn't have to go anywhere. I just got to go straight home. And so it, I'm sure they probably got to go home later in the day once they got moving. But if they didn't, they weren't going to be going home. They really require to see you actually moving around, right? And being pretty sufficient in that movement and making sure you have the intake of your fluids. So overall, the stay was great, I guess. The nurses there were fantastic. My doctor is so sweet, very, very kind. I didn't meet anyone that I didn't like or appreciate, right? I mean, everyone was wonderful there. So it was an all in all very positive experience. One thing I will say as a tip is I had it in my mind to bring this one particular small like rectangle pillow that I have for my son. I had it like in his nursery, and then it's on his bed is like a throw pillow now. And I wanted to bring that with me, and I didn't. And I wish I did, because the car ride home was horrific. So prep yourself for that. We had about a 35-minute drive home, and nothing about it was good. I had to close my eyes and just like, I mean, honestly, I was like praying. I felt nauseous all over again. I was in a ton of pain again, because getting into the car, sitting back in the car, the seat belt, I mean, everything, and every bump you could feel. I just felt like my insides were kind of moving around. So it made me queasy just even thinking about it. And I think maybe my husband was driving too fast. I don't know. But the other worst part is we kind of live on a private drive, and it's like a stone driveway, basically. And coming onto it, it was like torture. It was like a drop, and my stomach was moving around, and it felt horrible. So I came to bed, and I was done. I was done for the night. I stayed on top of the pain meds. I got up a lot too, in the middle of the night, and walked around, sat up. First night at home was pretty rough. Try to stay on top of the Gas X. Make sure you have Gas X. But first night was pretty uncomfortable. It was pretty miserable. My poor husband didn't sleep either, because I'm keeping him up. I'm moving around. I'm miserable, trying to keep my meds. Those pain meds are like every 4 hours. And so, you don't really get much time in between them. And I wanted to stay on top of it. So first night, okay. Second night, second day, still, it was a lot of pain, but I tried to keep moving as much as I could. Wiped out. Couldn't get in any protein. Got in a ton of fluids. That was fine. Tried to keep moving, but I was, again, still a lot of pain. It was a lot of gas pain. Wednesday comes. Yeah. Wednesday comes, and I have to tell you, I've never been so excited before in my life to fart. It was glorious. That made all the difference in the world, because all I had were like these small burps, and I could feel the bubbles kind of coming up before then. And otherwise it was staying there. But I could feel with my walking, it was kind of shifting down, and it did feel like you have bad gas. Like you could feel that in your stomach. But I couldn't fart. I couldn't do it. So I was curled up on the couch, kind of laid up, I tried to be on my left side again. Um, and finally, and once that started, it was a world of difference of how I felt. I can't even explain how glorious it was to fart. And then after that happened, I just start slowly feeling better. Today was my first day really of only being able to take in a decent amount of protein. Yesterday, I did have part of a protein shake mixed in with my coffee, but it took me so long to sip the coffee. I did like a regular cup like I normally would. I think it's just force of habit. So it was like 10 ounces and then it was just a lot. And so I couldn't get it down. It could have been a cup that I was drinking all day and it just didn't settle with me. It didn't feel I didn't feel good and I wasn't hungry at all still, but I kept moving around really exhausted but feeling better. Again, it's that one incision on my side that they really go in and I guess they do most of the work, and I think I just explained that earlier. That's the side that's still killing me. I have to hold it. I can't bend down. Can't really pull on things. I mean, it hurts, but there's no pain there anymore. So I'm not taking pain medications. I haven't taken them since I think Wednesday. So that's good. I took Tylenol all through Thursday, but just Tylenol. Because it's also I had to take it with another nerve kind of pain that they gave me. They prescribed for me to use for 3 pills for 3 days. So I just finished that up. But it's really that is what hurts the most. Again, feels like really bad workout times a million. And it's my energy right now. I don't have any. Super tired, short on patience, aggravated really easy, um, brain fog, just not feeling myself, but I don't feel horrible. So that's kind of like the worst of how I came today. I really had a lot of ambition to start working this week, and I'm glad I took the whole week off and I stuck by it. I probably could have in little bits and pieces, but I can't guarantee how good my work would have been, right? Or um, how that would lead into next week if I didn't give myself the rest that I needed. So give yourself some time. I know they say weeks, and maybe next week I'm going to probably feel the same and be even more tired. Total possibility. Um, but I'm in this situation where I gotta work. There's things that I have to take care of that came up this week that of course I had to look at, but I hope I can work through that as best as I can, and maybe I have to take naps here and there. But hopefully, as the weekend goes by, I'll be able to get a little bit more protein in, and I think that will help with my energy. So this morning, I again went in with a protein shake, and I poured it into, instead of doing 10 ounces, I think I only did 4 ounces of coffee, and then I poured my protein drink in it. And I was able to get through that. Not quick, but fairly quicker than I did the day before, which was good. So at least I know I had 30 grams of protein in right there. So I think that's going to be successful for me for the most part. Hopefully it works again for me tomorrow. I'll feel really good about that. Um, a regular shake, just drinking it straight up, I could not do it. It was just too thick. I think, again, anything that feels thicker, ugh, can't do it. It's really got to be like that watery consistency. And that goes down really easy for me. It doesn't irritate me at all. I feel good. I do feeling full. Um, but I can get through that. Crystal Light flavoring, I picked up one of those that added just a little variety, but I'm pretty content with water for the most part, but that was like a nice little treat to kind of add to things. So I did that, and then I ordered more. I had Unduri soups, and so I originally got the chicken broth Unduri protein soup when I did my 2-week pre-op, And I really liked the taste of that. That was really good to me. So I went and bought beef thinking it would be a variety and change it up. I didn't like that from the get-go. Even I tried it before the operation. So I tried it again yesterday and I was like, I can't do this. So I like overnighted the chicken broth, and it came, and I just had that for dinner. And I think it's true what they say, your taste change. It did not taste the same to me at all. Um, it was a little hard to get down, but I think, again, as the days get better, that might be my best path to get the protein in. So with those two things alone, that was like 60 grams of protein, which is better than none. So I'll keep working on that as the days progress. I mean, I don't really know what else I can do about it. What else? The other weird thing is the blood clot shots. Don't like those. Have to have my husband do it. So if you need someone, grab them. And for other medications that have been really hard besides just those shots was, and I did have a question, and my bariatric support group from the hospital was extremely helpful on, was Prevacid. So the doctor prescribed Prevacid right away, and all the pills that we have right now we have to crush or open the capsules, put them in a liquid, and take them that way. The first time I opened the Prevacid, it's like a million little balls inside of the capsule. And so I was like, okay, I'll pour that in my Tylenol and take it with my Tylenol, like I was doing with a lot of my other medicines. And I was like chasing these little freaking beans in the cup, and I couldn't figure out, how was I going to get this down? So I asked my group, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I feel like I keep trying to gulp all this fluid down to try to get all these beads and be able to swallow all these beads from this capsule. And I'm getting sick at doing it. And so they gave me some tips of like, yeah, no, don't. And I was like, should I be swallowing a whole? Like, did I miss something here? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I was listening. So they said, no, do not swallow it whole for a few more weeks still. But the easiest way to do it is just take the beads, open the capsule basically in your mouth, take those beads, and then chase it with a sip of water and take it down that way, instead of trying to have the beads float in the water and all sink to the bottom, and then you keep trying to refill to get them bumped up and it doesn't work. So I did that this morning and that worked really well. So if you need that tip with any of your medicine, please use it. Other than that, getting to sleep, I wore a nightgown, much more comfortable than pajama bottoms, except one pair I have that are really, really soft. I wore those in the hospital. And I will say, changing into pajamas in the hospital was a game changer. Mentally, it just made me feel better than wearing the hospital gown and just feeling exposed. And so you feel exposed and uncomfortable at the same time. And that it doesn't work with me. So I had some really soft jammies. I got them off of Amazon. So comfortable. 2-piece. So I figured, if I needed anything, I could, get cords through it, whatever. Kind of fed my IV cord through the sleeve, and that worked there. So that just made it so much more enjoyable. But the nightgown, when I got home, was so nice to not have anything rubbing against my stomach in that way. It was just easy. So that was really nice. I picked up a really nice long one, really soft material at Walmart the Sunday before my operation. And I was really glad that I had that. And then just lots of pillows. Figure out a way to prop yourself. Again, have that little pillow with you at all times to kind of help get up. If you have like an end table by your side of your bed, like I do, I got 2 drinks here. That helped me a lot too, to kind of just brace myself up when I was rolling. That helped. Other than that, I mean, I made it. Good news is, with the 2-week pre-op and this week, I am down a little over 20 pounds. So that is amazing. I'm hopeful that I'll get better at my protein. I'm going to keep working on it. I think as long as I stay focused, that will be great. And making sure that I intake my water. I've been using the bathroom a lot with number 1. Still haven't gone number 2 yet for TMI, but I think tomorrow I'm going to start adding some Miralax and see if I can kind of get things moving. But I really haven't taken in anything, so I'm not sure how much is there, but it does kind of feel heavy, lower in my stomach. So I'm going to try that tomorrow, and I'll update you on week 2 post-op, where I'm sitting, how I'm at, how I'm living. Thanks for joining me. And if you have any questions, ask me below. 5 incisions, sealed with, medical glue, showered right away. That felt great as well. Feel free to ask me. I really hope that this is a good resource of kind of what I'm going through, what it's been like, especially with gastric bypass and not just sleeve. And I understand there's some similarities, but I was really looking for that same experience, right? So I have another still liquid diet next week. So no food updates then, but I'll certainly let you know how I'm feeling and how I'm getting along. Thank you for following along, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.